Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I'm your host, Jody Harrison Bauer, and I love being here with you every single week. And I was really excited to do this show, and I'm always excited to do my show, but particularly excited for this one because it is something that I have dealt with most of my life. And I think a lot of people are working on it, dealing with it, trying to find ways that they can improve. And it's sometimes a block to living their best life. And this show is all about educating you, empowering you with that education, maybe, I hope, entertaining you a little bit and inspiring you to live your most fearlessly authentic life. So if you love this podcast, if you are new to this show, please share it, rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for listening live in over 100 countries. I love to hear from all of you. So please remember to share this show with your friends, family, whoever you think needs to hear from it. And I've been doing this show for 4 years and loving every minute of it and learning from every single one of my guests. And as you know, well, you don't know this. And this is what happens when you are not really, really good with keeping your notes. I'm not a technical person at all. Today would have been my mom's 89th birthday, April 4th. And I needed to pause, of course, and think about her and what a ball of fire she was and how she really lived such a fearlessly authentic life. And she was often criticized for being so bold. And she wasn't rude, like in your face, although she had very strong opinions, which sometimes she couldn't always back up. So that always made me feel a little uncomfortable. But she had she was just a ball of fire, a ball of energy, and bold and smart and savvy. And there were a lot of women and men that felt uncomfortable around her because she had all of this confidence. Now, I knew the real person, and sometimes I would say to her, you don't have to act like this in front of other people, just be yourself. But the truth is, and she would say this to me, but Jody, I am being myself. And the truth is also that I was uncomfortable. I was one of those people that was uncomfortable with her being so bold. Her boldness made me feel uncomfortable and sometimes insecure. And as a young girl, my mom was that person who pushed me to do things outside of my comfort zone. We didn't know that word back then. She pushed me to do things outside of my comfort zone. And I wouldn't say she pushed, she encouraged strongly. And as a result of it, I was able to try a lot of things to see if I liked doing them and if I was good at it. And of course, if you're good at something, you want to continue to do it, right? And there were some things I was really good at and some things that I wasn't so great at. I loved to dance. So I started dancing at a very young age. And she encouraged me to try out for solo parts and try out for duets to get more confidence being on stage, because getting on stage was really scary. But if you start young, you're not so scared to do it when you get older because you've done it over and over again. Like anything else in your life as adults that you try for the first time, you're really, really scared to do it. And sometimes you may choose not to do it, but it's the things that we know are good for us in the long run that we might be afraid to do, but it's important that we push ourselves to do it anyway. And that could be anything that challenges you mentally or physically. to try to do, even if you're scared to do it. And at a young age, my mom encouraged me to do things that scared me because if you've been listening to this show for a long time, you know that I am a self-proclaimed scaredy cat. I was afraid to try everything. I was not fearlessly authentic. I was fearful, even as a little girl, and I was shy. And for those who know me on social media, know me from the podcast, by the way, you can find me on all social media platforms at Jody Harrison Bauer, that I don't I don't come off as being shy at all. You would probably think that I'm bold and have tons of confidence. And that has been a work in progress, which is one of the reasons why I named this podcast Fearlessly Authentic, because it resonated with me. And it was after I had tried out to be in Sports Illustrated Swim, made it to the top 60 out of 10,000 women, and made global news. Just Google me with Sports Illustrated Swim back in 2019, and you'll see everything that pops up for me. And I didn't do that because I thought that was going to happen. I did it with the encouragement of my youngest daughter. I wasn't shy anymore, but I was more comfortable, obviously, at the age of 58 when I did that. I was more comfortable at taking risks and knowing what my comfort level was and knowing how far I felt comfortable stepping outside of that comfort level. And I pushed myself to do that every single day. And I'm working on a few projects right now. One is a masterclass coming up on April 23rd. So if you want information about it, just DM me at Jody Harrison Bauer. And it's about feeling your best. It's about feeling youthful. It's about unlocking the secrets that you need to hear about feeling sexy, feeling like you did years ago, and really unlocking your fountain of youth. Because whether you are in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, we all want to feel as young as we feel inside. And how do we get there? So that's what the masterclass is going to be about. And it includes tips about nutrition and cutting through all the BS and fitness and mindset and changes in the way we think and so on. I will give you more information about that as we get closer to it. So in talking about my shyness that I really wanted to expand upon today, because in addition to being my mom's birthday, I was talking to an old friend. And I said to her, I do not know why I get emotional about certain things. So you guys know me by now. It's the littlest things. If I talk about my daughters or anything like that, I get emotional. But this is an old friend who, and we have rekindled our friendship. So it's very near and dear to me. And she was always very bold, kind of reminded me of my mom. And I was the shy one in our friendship. And I said something to her this morning about not necessarily her boldness, but my shyness. And I said to her, I've always been shy. So she goes, I know that about you, Jody. You've always been the shy one in our friendship. And I said, who would ever think that by looking at my Instagram or TikTok or anything like that, or watching me on social media? Because you would never think that I was shy. But in the deepest part of inside of me, I am a shy person, but I've learned not to be shy, if that makes sense. And that's tied into my confidence also. And so as I was preparing for today's show on explaining how you can go from being shy to being bolder at a level that you're comfortable with, and not comparing who who is bolder than you or how bold you want to become, because comparing yourselves will get you nowhere fast and will only make you feel bad about yourself. So I stopped comparing myself years and years ago. But part of overcoming shyness does have something to do with confidence. And in a world where authenticity is often celebrated, but self-doubt can hold us back, we're going to talk about breaking free today, about breaking free from the shackles, because that's what I felt like, the shackles of shyness, and step boldly into our greatness. So, shyness and confidence are somewhat related. I wanted to look into this because I was like, wait a minute, was I shy because I wasn't confident, or was I not confident, which led to my shyness? So I wanted to compare the two. There are some similarities. Shyness and confidence are related, but they're different. They're different concepts altogether. Shyness typically involves feeling nervous or timid in social situations. So if you can think back in a time where you were walking into, let's just say, a restaurant to go on a blind date, or even meeting a friend to go out for dinner, or I remember after I got divorced and going on my Match.com dates, and I would always want to be later than the person because I didn't want to sit there by myself because I just felt uncomfortable. It was all new for me. And I guess that had to do with my shyness. And my mom, going back to my mom, she would always push me. Come on, Jody, you can do it. You can do it. Let's try out for this solo part. You can do it. You can do it. And I'd be like, no, 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 I don't want to do it. I don't want to have a solo in a dance recital at the age of 10 where everybody is staring at me. I don't want everybody to stare at me. I don't want to be the center of attention. Now, as a 63-year-old woman, I realized that she saw something in me that I never saw in myself. And that's what we do as moms. We see the greatness in our children, and a good parent will try to pull that out of their child as much as they can with love and compassion. And my mom did do it with love and compassion, but she was a little bolder than that because she didn't want to deal with any bullshit like I don't. In the way that I train my clients, in the way that I talk to you. So shyness typically involves feeling nervous or timid. So I would feel nervous and timid in social situations. I would walk into a room with my mom and immediately she would take over. Not because she wanted to overpower me. It was because that's who she was. That's who she was authentically. And my dad and I were shy. So we would literally, verbally shy away from her in those situations because it made us feel uncomfortable because we weren't feeling confident. And in those, when we're feeling nervous or timid in those social situations, it's often accompanied by fear of judgment or rejection. Just like when I started putting posts up on Facebook back in whenever Facebook came out, I think it was like 2012 when I started making my first Facebook posts about Jody, as with my fitness studio, Jody Fit. I was very shy about sharing information. And I know a lot of you could relate. You don't feel confident and you might be shy about sharing because maybe you don't feel confident. Now, I knew as a fitness expert, I knew what I wanted to talk about, but I was afraid that people would judge me for maybe the way I said it. And there are times, even now, that I feel uncomfortable, but I don't feel that I'm shy anymore. However, I remember a situation I was with my youngest daughter in the fall, and she kept looking at me. She goes, "What's the matter with you?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You're being so weird," because she had never seen me really be shy. She's a 31-year-old woman. And so in her eyes, I'm who my mom was to me to a certain degree. I took it down a notch, many notches. Uh, but I'll never forget. She's like, what, you're being so weird. What's the matter with you? You're not acting like yourself. You're being really, really weird and making me feel uncomfortable. And I just said, I don't know. I just feel a little uncomfortable. That was me telling her that I was fearing rejection or judgment. I felt shy. So what it was doing was inhibiting me from being myself. And because I wasn't being myself, I was making her feel uncomfortable. Now, other people may not have noticed it, but my daughter, who knows me very, very well, friggin' called me out on it. Confidence, on the other hand, is about having belief in oneself and one's ability. While shyness can affect confidence, which it did for me, it's not a defining characteristic of confidence. So there is a difference about being shy and not having a lot of confidence. And I read that a fact is that many confident people may still experience moments of shyness, but they've developed coping strategies to overcome it. So that's who I am. I'm actually a shy person, and I'm not the extrovert that everybody thinks that I am. I wouldn't say I'm an introvert. That's another topic in itself. But the people who have known me for my whole life know me as a shy person. And as I've gotten older, I've learned to step into uncomfortable situations to help build my confidence, more obviously, more social situations. I would hope so at the age of 63, and learn to cope with feeling uncomfortable or shy and using the confidence that I have in my abilities to lead the way. So when we come back from the break, we are going to get into the strategies of how you can overcome shyness and how you can build your confidence. See you back in a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to Fearlessly Authentic. All right, let's get into it. Here are some strategies to help build self-confidence. And these are things that I have done over the years and I've helped my clients do over the years, because everything starts with setting goals, realistic goals. So whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to start a family, you want to buy a home, whatever it is that you want to achieve, you need to set a realistic goal. So, for example, in trying to build self-confidence, success breeds confidence. So the more you do something and you have success with it, you want to do it over and over and over again. So when I had my first daughter, I didn't know how to be a mom. It's probably not the best example. You don't know how to be a mom when you're a first-time mom. But the thing that kicks in is your pure love, your pure unconditional love for that child. So that to me is a no-brainer. So I'll give you another example, because that one's all about love and unconditional love. And you just can't compare the unconditional love you have for your child to anything else in the world. And look, I said it without crying. So when I started competing in fitness shows, I was scared. I didn't know what it took, but I knew that there was some innate ability that I had to do it. My coach knew it, just like my mom knew that I could do a solo in a dance recital. Just like when I worried about my grades in fifth grade and was such a worrywart, my fifth grade teacher, Mr. Esposito, told me, Jody, you got this. So there was always either a mentor in my life guiding me to help me achieve the goals, or I just went ahead and I tried it myself. Either way, the goals need to be realistic, so it sets you up for success. In my case of the fitness competitions, my coach literally had to push me out onto the stage. and I was miserable, but I did it. And then I kept doing it again and again and again, got better and better and better, started winning more and more shows. And then you couldn't stop me from competing because I loved every single minute of it. Doing this show, doing this live radio show. I am live right now. And doing this for the first, I would say, 10 times, I was scared to death. But the more I did it, the easier it became, the more confident I became. Do I still get a little nervous before every show? Of course I do, but it's controlled. It's more excitement than nervousness, which has helped me feel more confident. So now, and I'll tell you one other story about success breeding confidence. When I was in my 30s, I became the president of a national volunteer group, actually international volunteer group. And I'll never forget when the president of the group gave me the microphone to introduce myself as the president of our chapter. And you guys, my hands, my entire body, voice was shaking uncontrollably. There was no way I could have stopped shaking. It was insane. I did not know how I was going to get through it. I thought I just didn't know how. But guess what? I had to do it over and over and over again because I had to welcome everybody to events and charity events we had. And I became more confident and did it better and better and better. So remember that success breeds confidence. And the more you do something and you're successful at it, it will help build your confidence. Focus on your strengths. You've heard me say this before, I wasn't going to try to become a pole vaulter because I'm 5 feet tall. I wasn't going to become a great sprinter because I couldn't really run fast. I certainly wasn't going to become a marathon runner because I'm 5 feet tall and I don't like to run. So that would not be my strength. What was my strength? My strength was that I had a very, very strong body that built muscle fast. I was built like a gymnast. So I knew that I had a very, very strong body to do things with. So I used my body going into the gym, doing strength training, teaching classes, motivating other people. And every single time I did that, every time I went into the gym and lifted weights, every time I did a class or taught a class or trained a client, I became more confident in what I was doing. I played to my strengths. I know how to talk to people. I know how to understand people. I know how to relate to people. So being a coach, a trainer came very easy to me. I wanted to help people change the way they felt in their body, the way they want to change their life. Because it's not just about changing your body, it's about changing things from within with your life. So I identified what I was really good at and leveraged them so I would be successful. Right now, I'm writing a book. I'm not very good. I don't know. I've never written a book, but it's going to come out really good because I've got people helping me with this. So can I express myself? Yes. But can I express myself on paper? Not so easy. So that's where I'm seeking help. And it's important that you celebrate your achievements and acknowledge your capabilities. Understand what you're good at and go towards those natural capabilities and talents. Positive self-talk is really very important. Mindset. I talk about this all of the time. And in the masterclass that I have coming up, we are going to be talking about changing the way that you think, stopping to believe the stories you're telling yourself for why you're not where you want to be in life, whether it's in fitness, your personal life, your professional life. So talk positively to yourself and get rid of those negative thoughts and replace them with positive affirmations. I'm smart. I'm happy. I love to help people. I like to exercise. I know that exercise makes me feel stronger mentally and physically. I'm a good friend. I'm a good sister. I'm a good husband, daughter, whatever it is. Think about right now, what are you really good at? Write it down. And when you're starting to think negatively, I want you to change that. This is going to help you feel more confident in those situations where you think you can't do it. A quick note, I am watching, don't judge me, please. I am watching Deal or No Deal Island. I'm embarrassed to say. I do like reality shows. I think I've mentioned that to you before. And, you know, it's interesting to hear people talk about themselves and what they think they're good at and what they don't think they're great at it. And a lot of people don't have that self-awareness. So if you watched Survivor a million years ago, you know Boston Rob, he's on the show now, and he's a great strategist. So he's very, very good at playing the game. I would never be on a show like that. Never, ever. I would lose for sure because I don't have a good game face and I'm not a good poker player. I don't even know how to play poker. So that's my point in telling you about that. Um, the biggest obstacle for me in building self-confidence has been facing my fears. Again, fearlessly authentic. My fear of rejection, my fear of judgment, my fear of, can I do it? Will I be able to do it? My biggest fear is failure. Fearing that I'm not going to always be the best at everything that I do. And as I have gotten older, I realize that there are many things, a lot of things that I'm not the best at. And I'm sorry that I'm ending that sentence with a preposition. If my father were here, he would be very disappointed in me, but it's to make a point. So one of the things that I did and started doing, I would say in my 30s after I had my daughters, was I knew in order to be the most important female role model to my daughters, I needed to show them that I was fearless. I needed to show them, and my dad must have heard me because I just got a thumbs up here on the Zoom recording, and he pops up here every once in a while. I'm not making that up. He does show up here. And if you've been listening to the show, you know that. So, hi, Daddy. So it's very important for you to step outside your comfort zone and confront your fears gradually. I don't want you to write down all of your fears and try to confront them. Going back to Deal or No Deal Island, they had to get poles out of a box where there were snakes. Now, if you are afraid of snakes, which I am, I would never put my hand in that box, which is why I would never be on that show because it's just not my thing. But if you have a fear of snakes and you want to embrace them and not fear them anymore, then find a way where you can put yourself in situations with somebody who can help you not fear snakes. There are a lot of fears that we have, and I don't want to list them all right now. But the biggest fear I can give you from my standpoint is that I feared speaking in public. Yes, I did. I had signed up for a class in high school, which was public speaking. And I did that because I had enough self-awareness back in 10th or 11th grade that I was afraid to get up in front of a room and talk. And so when we had to present our projects, or let's just say it was a book report in 5th or 6th grade or 8th grade, and I would get in front of the room and my whole body would be shaking. My whole voice would be shaking. So I knew that I had a fear of public speaking. And I know now that the fear came from judgment and rejection. Was I smart enough? had I done enough research on this topic? So when I prepare for a show, whether I'm with a guest or it's a solo show like today, I make sure that I am so prepared. Half the time, I don't even look at my notes. That's how prepared I am, because I want to make sure that whatever I'm discussing, I know what the heck I'm talking about. And every single time I bring up a different subject, I'm learning more and more. So my fear was fear of public speaking and a fear of being judged. And here I am with a live radio show. I was afraid to, as a young girl, it was my sister 2 years younger than me. That was the bold one. She was the first one to jump off a diving board at the deep end. And I would try to make sure that my dad was in the pool waiting to catch me in case I died. And even after I had my daughters, my ex-husband would tell me to go into another room or leave wherever we were because he didn't want my fears. I know you guys didn't know I was such a scaredy cat. He didn't want me to make our daughter scared of like going down a water slide or getting on a horse or anything like that, even though my mom did whatever she could to try to make me as fearless as possible. And once we overcome a lot of those fears, we start stepping into our truth because we stop fearing the judgment or the rejection. So every time we keep doing something that scares us little by little by little, we start becoming our truest selves. We start becoming the most fearlessly authentic person that we want to be because of the success that we're having. So with each small success you have, you'll boost your confidence. And most importantly, you're going to boost your resilience. And that is something I never thought I had ever until I went through some pretty tough times in my life and realized that the things that scared me, like filing for divorce and becoming a single mom, made me more resilient. And that helped boost my confidence, knowing that I could do almost anything, almost anything. But that doesn't mean that I get scared of things now. And I think it's okay to be a little afraid of some things. Are we 100% fearless all the time? I don't think so. So I want you to think about your fears and write them down and see what they look like. And if we know that we're going into a certain situation, like you're presenting something, if we're prepared and we practice what it is that we're doing, that could alleviate some anxiety and help build more confidence. So maybe when I was doing those book reports back in 8th grade, I wasn't really confident in what I had written. So I was anxious. Maybe I wasn't properly prepared, even though I might have thought I was. If I've ever gotten, I don't think it's ever happened because I'm just very prepared every single week. But if I've ever been in a situation where maybe I didn't feel as prepared for a guest or for a solo show, I might have been a little anxious. So make sure that when you go into a situation that you are prepared and you practice. Just like when I was doing my fitness competitions, I practice and practice and practice until I knew what I was doing on stage, upside down, inside out, every which way. And that made me feel more confident. Learning from your failures is going to also make you feel more confident. Figure out what went wrong and take out the lessons and use them to improve in the future. Always look at your failures as an opportunity for growth rather than a setback. So when you're in the gym, I've used this analogy many, many times. In the gym and you're doing a bicep curl, you need to rest the next day. You go to failure with that muscle group. You get that one more rep out to 15. That's going to failure. And that's where the muscle starts growing. So do I look at that last bicep curl as maybe the hardest one? I'm not going to look at it as, ugh, I didn't do it well, or that wasn't as good as the other ones that I did. No, I look at it as that I made it there. I made it. I might have failed in the exact way I executed that bicep curl, but I knew I would grow from it. So with every failure that you have, and you will have failures because it's the only way we do grow, look at them as, why did these things happen for you to see and learn from, rather than why did it happen to you? Happening to you is a victim mentality. Happening for you is a growth mindset. And of course, surrounding yourself with positive influences, surrounding yourself with positive friends that support you, family. Because if you're around a bunch of negative Nellies, you are going to become a negative Nelly. If you're around lazy ass people, you're going to become a lazy ass. If you're around people who are always thinking and creative, you're going to get your creative juices going too. Make sure they believe in your abilities. That's a really big thing. After I got divorced and I wanted to compete, nobody believed in me. You guys have heard me tell this story, so I won't get into it. But it's one of the biggest lessons I learned about myself, is that I did it without support. But having a support system there is incredibly helpful. Eventually, once everybody realized how important it was to me and saw the success because I showed it to them, then they jumped on board. But sometimes the support system isn't there, but certainly it is much easier to start building your confidence when you do have a lot of positive influences around you. And of course, your physical well-being. When we're living in an unhealthy body, we're going to feel unhealthy in our mind. Our mind and our body are so connected. So taking care of your physical health through regular exercise, you know what I'm going to say, proper nutrition, enough sleep, will have a significant impact on your mental well-being and confidence levels. So if you feel good in your body, you're going to feel good in your mind. They both work together because the way we present ourselves to the world does matter to us. Remember what I said about comparison at the beginning. Forget about everybody else. How does it feel for you? So if you're taking care of yourself and you're being proactive versus being reactive about your physical well-being, then you're going to be mentally well as well. So building confidence can help people overcome shyness. Okay. So being shy and having confidence, building that confidence, can help provide you with the self-assurance you need to get through those uncomfortable social settings and not acting weird, as my daughter said to me. And by working on building confidence through what I just mentioned, you can start reducing your feelings of shyness, which is what happened to me. Feeling shy was reduced more and more and more, and I became more self-assured in so many parts of my life. So that is where the confidence and shyness come into play and work together. As I mentioned earlier, I know that deep inside of me that I am a shy person. And when my friend mentioned, I know you're shy, Jody, the whole world doesn't know you're shy, because overcoming shyness for me was a gradual process. I didn't realize that what I was doing in my life by challenging myself to be in situations that might have made me uncomfortable, AKA going outside of my comfort zone consistently and practicing being outside my comfort zone. For example, after I got divorced, I started dating. Online dating was a new thing. This was 2002. Match.com was like the only game in town. And that was something uncomfortable for me. But actually, it came kind of easy for me. So I realized that I liked doing it. So that wasn't one of the things. At first, it was uncomfortable, but then I loved doing it. Why? Because I was getting positive feedback. And that was helping to build my confidence. This is not to say that I needed a man to help build my confidence, but what I was doing was going on a lot of dates when my daughters were with their dad, going on a lot of dates, which was helping me get better at learning how to date and building my confidence and building up my self-esteem, which was completely gone and lost. So the first thing you can do in trying to overcome your shyness is recognize the fact that you're shy and understand why it is, what triggers your shyness, and how it manifests in different situations. Awareness is the first step in overcoming it. I'm shy. What can I do to make myself not feel so shy in social situations where I may not know anybody? What can I do? Maybe I could make sure that there's always a friend there, or maybe I could make sure that my friend saves me a seat. And if I don't know anybody, you got to put on your big girl panties and you got to get out there and you got to start meeting people. And every time you go out there to a networking event or you're in a situation where you don't know anybody, I did this recently with uh, uh, an influencer thing that I went to, and I didn't know anyone. Being aware of my shyness. And I remember texting my daughter saying, I'm really nervous to go there. She was like, why? Why? You're so outgoing. But I'm glad she thinks that I'm not shy. But I was nervous. I was shy. I I was nervous and anxious because I knew I didn't know anybody. I knew the person hosting it, but I knew she was going to be very busy. So I pushed myself to be there. Did I have to do it? No, I did not need to be there at all. But I wanted to. I wanted to be there, and it was great. And I had a wonderful time, and I met new people. Yay. And that's what I want you to do. Go out there and meet new people and set realistic goals. Going back to confidence, making sure whatever goal you set, I'm going to go to this event. Whether I know anybody or not, I'm going to go to this speed dating event. I'm going to go to this networking event. I'm going to try out for this pickleball tournament, whatever it is, even though I don't know anybody, even though it might make me feel uncomfortable, but make sure the goals are realistic. I'm going to say hello to somebody. I'm going to make sure that when I go to this event, I'm going to say hello and shake hands and look at that person straight in the face. And my daughter, who is giving me a hard time about being shy, oh, by the way, she was very shy. And I always taught my daughters that when you meet people, when they look at you and they say, hi, nice to meet you, and they shake your hand, that you shake their hand and you look them straight in the eye and you say, nice to meet you too. Or hello, Mrs. or Mr. So-and-so, nice to meet you too. And I used to have to tell my youngest one, now say nice to meet you and look at them straight in the eye. So make sure these goals are achievable. Practice relaxation techniques. So if you feel yourself getting anxious or nervous, if it's breathing, if it's meditating, practice those things. And that's what I did in the cab going over to this event. That's what I did when I would be backstage getting ready to compete on stage. I would just be still with myself. I wasn't chatting with the girls in the backstage. I was either texting my daughter, same daughter, my little one, backstage, and she would just keep me hyper focused on what it was that I wanted to do and that I got this. And she was my biggest cheerleader. But in this recent event where I went to this influencer event, I was like, Jody, what do you have to fear? You go in there, you just be yourself. You were invited for a reason. Just go there. And I guarantee you, Jody, this is my conversation with myself, you'll know somebody. You'll know somebody. And quite frankly, you guys, I can talk to a wall. So even if it was the security guys there, I found somebody to talk to. I know it's hard. I get it. It's hard to pretend to be confident when you're not feeling it, when inwardly you're struggling with, I really want to be here, but I don't want to be here because this is an uncomfortable situation. But if I can do it, you can do it. And if I can do it at the age of 63, you can do it at the age of 23, 33, and beyond. So practice whatever it is that helps you relax. Deep breathing, visualizing yourself, saying hello to new people. I sound like my mom right now. These are the things she used to tell me 40 years ago. Jody, you've got it. You know what to do. And I'm telling you guys the same thing. You got this. Practice it. Practice saying hello in your own house, in your own apartment, introducing yourself, your elevator pitch. Who are you? And not sound like a robot. Practice these things. Go out with friends and say, let me say hello to this guy at the bar. So you're practicing flirting. I know this all sounds really corny, but trust me, put it into a different situation, networking, dating, trying a new sport, competitions. It all applies here. Positive self-talk, just like confidence. Practice challenging yourself from the negative talk. I've had to do it myself. I am far from perfect. I'm talking about these things because these are things, confidence and shyness, that I have had to overcome, and I work on them all the time. I even went to a friend's birthday party a few months ago, and I knew her and her husband. I knew another couple and another person. So enough people for me to know, but there were also all of these people that I didn't know. And I thought, oh, I didn't know there were going to be all these people I didn't know. And for a moment, I like felt myself retract into my shy shell, but I did it because I have higher expectations of myself, and I get rid of the negative talk, and I believe in myself, and I replace the self-critical thoughts with positive affirmations. You deserve to be here. You are smart enough. You are good enough. You are brave. You are fun. You are loving. You are compassionate. You are enough. And remind yourself of your strengths and accomplishments. Tick those all off in your head. This is all the stuff that I've done. Look at all the shit I've accomplished. I can do this. I can walk into a room with people I don't know. Bring it on. And the more you put yourself in that situation, the better you're going to get at it every single time. Success breeds confidence, and it's going to help you overcome your shyness. And developing those social skills, what I just talked about, practice being in social situations, but specifically practicing active listening. What are they really, really saying to me? Maintaining eye contact, like what I used to tell my daughters, and paying attention to nonverbal cues. So if you're talking to somebody and they start looking around the room while you're talking, realize that they're pretty bored with the conversation. So maybe you should end it. Or maybe you're looking around the room because you're bored to death with the conversation. Tell them you've got to go to the bathroom. Tell them you've got to go meet up with a friend. So developing these social skills over and over and over again, you get better at it and you'll be more confident. So keep exposing yourself to those social situations to help overcome your shyness. by joining groups, being in clubs, putting yourself in new social situations will help you. Celebrate your progress. And for goodness sake, be patient with yourself. Please, please celebrate who you are. Be patient. It is not easy to overcome shyness, but every single time you put yourself to a challenge and you succeed and you get home and you go, damn, girl, I just did a great job. I want you to remember that and be patient, because overcoming shyness is a gradual process and setbacks are natural. So I hope that this entire show has helped you with helping you to identify maybe you are shy and you didn't realize what it was, building your self-confidence. I talk about confidence a lot, and everything is a journey. And if you need help, seek help from a coach or a therapist. I say this all the time, because without help, without somebody holding your hand for you to achieve your goals of becoming more confident, overcoming your shyness, putting yourself in situations, if you need help, go and get it. And don't feel bad about yourself ever, ever, ever in doing so. Thank you so much for listening to Fearlessly Authentic today. It was great being with you. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe. You can find me at Jody Harrison Bauer on all social platforms. And I can't wait to see you next week. And be happy, everybody, and go live your most fearlessly authentic life. Bye-bye.